Hello to all of our friends out there across the country. If we haven't met, my name is Mike Abney. I work with the team at Quidel. We are a diagnostic test manufacturer out of San Diego. And like a lot of you attending this conference, we've been very busy lately. So we appreciate everybody dialing in and coming together in this way this year. At Quidel, we sell all of our products through distribution, and we count on distributors to launch our products for us and to do so much more. So we've been a sponsor of this event for many years and always look forward to it. And we usually say to our distributors, we can't do it without you. We couldn't have done this without you. And this year that really took on a new meaning for our company. We were forced, like many others, to triple and quadruple our manufacturing output and get that product to customers in very short order when the pandemic started. And we leaned on our distribution network like we never have before. And they came through for us with flying colors, above and beyond our expectation. And we would have never been able to pull that off alone. So today, my message to the distribution community is a big thank you for this year so far. We've got a long way to go and a lot more to do, but we really appreciate the effort. We appreciate you being prepared. We appreciate you being ready for this. And the value of distribution definitely showed everywhere this year across our business. Thank you to the HIDA team for continuing to do your homework and educate us and help us to perform. To both of you, to HIDA and to our distribution partners from all of the HIDA manufacturing community, thank you very much. For the first time in its history, today HIDA will have a female chair passing the gavel to another female chair. And if you include Lisa Holman of Concordance leading the foundation board, we will have all female leadership 2 years consecutively for the first time in our history. This is not surprising at all if you know the individuals involved, but historic day for HIDA and one that we should all be very proud to be a part of. And I know I am. So thank you to all of you. And I'm going to introduce first our current chair, Chris Fagnani. Chris is the owner of Lynn Medical. Most of you know Chris. She served on the HIDA board for 9 years as treasurer before accepting the chairmanship in 2020. And I'm going to introduce Chris and ask her a couple questions. So, Chris, how you doing today?
Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Great, fantastic.
Well,
so this has been a year unlike any other for our industry, and I'd like to get your opinion on how HIDA has responded to that.
Yeah, well, first, Mike, I want to thank you and the Quidel Corporation for their continuing support of HIDA and HIDA's mission. So it's very much appreciated. So thank you. And I also want to thank all the attendees for joining me as we reflect on this once every 100-year event. Coming together as an industry, we've really made a difference. I'd also like to thank the HIDA Board of Directors and a very special thank you to our executive committee, Mark Heinzer, Chris Kursky, Gina Marchese, and Alex Caldwell for their commitment to HIDA and giving of their time and guidance this year, even as we have all been very stretched in our own businesses, as Mike mentioned. I am not sure I knew what to expect when I accepted the chairman's position, and I certainly never expected this past few months. It goes without saying that 2020 will be defined by the COVID-19 pandemic. Like all of us, HIDA was called to lean into this crisis and serve our customers in a time of disruption and uncertainty. I'm pleased to say that in this unprecedented year, HIDA is leading the industry with innovative services and agile responses to the pandemic's ever-evolving impact. We all know that HIDA has raised its profile on Capitol Hill in recent years, and that effort certainly paid off this year. The single biggest achievement this year was the Medical Supplies for Pandemic Act of 2020. It's the first time HIDA championed language, got it introduced in a standalone piece of legislation. It directs the Strategic National Stockpile to work with medical product distributors. This is a big win for HIDA and its members.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. It's been a big help for us, and we have engaged ourselves this year with the government, both at the state and federal level, more than we ever have before in our past. So How do you think HIDA has changed its engagement with the government this year?
I had the privilege of testifying before the House Small Business Subcommittee on my own experiences managing a private business during the pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, interest from Capitol Hill policymakers and media was very intense at times. HIDA focused proactively on educating these important audiences, and I think they did a great job.
Yes, yes, I agree. And you mentioned PPE briefly. PPE shortages have been front and center in the news media every day. And I'd like to ask you a little bit more about that specifically and HIDA's strategy with regard to PPE shortages.
Well, sure. HIDA's strategy has been to educate reporters on distribution and supply issues. Since January, the HIDA team provided over 50 background briefings to national and local journalists, educating them about healthcare supply chain as well as the value of distribution. HIDA was quoted widely in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Los Angeles Times, and Bloomberg, just to name a few.
And I know that's been very, very helpful in 2020 so far. And looking forward, how do you think HIDA positioned the industry for the future?
I know, Mike, we were all very proud that HIDA's president and CEO, Matt Rowan, led the drafting of HIDA's public-private framework to reinforcing the nation's pandemic preparedness and response. This white paper, called Building a More Robust Supply Chain, was sent to lawmakers and key government agencies to serve as a policy roadmap for government. So reflecting back on last year and when I picked up the gavel, in person in Chicago last September, it seemed like a different world. We were at a gala full of hugs and handshakes, and some of you may remember axe throwing. But since then, our industry has been instrumental in a robust response and envisioning the realities of the coronavirus pandemic. They thought of new and creative ways to get medical products from factories to the loading docks to the doctors and nurses. So ultimately, what's most important, our patients get the medical care they need. So here we are. And as we turn the page on 2020 and look towards an uncertain 2021 in our country and in healthcare in general, I am very pleased to introduce our 2021 board chair. I am also proud to pass the gavel to our fourth female board chair. I have had the pleasure of serving with her my entire board tenure and have always respected her tenure and her expertise in the industry. She spent her entire career in healthcare. As I have gotten to know her personally, she is certainly a New Yorker, a Long Islander, deeply invested in her large New York Italian family, and can make a good time out of any situation. So congratulations to Gina Marchese of Concordance Healthcare Solutions, and I would like to present her with her chairwoman's gavel. So congratulations, Gina, and here you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chris.
Congratulations, Gina.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris, and thank you to HIDA and the board for allowing me the honor of serving the industry through leading the HIDA Board of Directors for 2021. I'm both humbled and I'm so excited for the opportunities that lie ahead.
So Gina, I'm very interested, as you've been in the thick of things, to hear your perspectives on 2020 and as we look forward to 2021.
Well, Chris, we're all still dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously. And so what happens to our country happens to healthcare, and in turn, it happens to our industry. Back in 2001, New York City was hit with the worst, most horrific terrorist attack our country has ever experienced. That day and the weeks and months that followed is something that will stay with me for the rest of my life. At that time, I was a sales leader at Caliber Henry Schein, and I will always be incredibly proud of how fast we responded with a caravan of trucks that we led from the Meadowlands in New Jersey down to Ground Zero and all throughout the city of New York. And then a decade later, Superstorm Sandy just barreled through us with violence and destruction. Nobody was spared. Our MMS facility in New Jersey was underwater and without power for days. But we still rallied through it. And now, fast forward to 2020, and once again, New York finds itself as ground zero. Only this time, we are the epicenter of the largest public healthcare crisis the world has seen since the Spanish flu. And as COVID-19 wreaks havoc on our hospitals and on our nursing homes, it endangers and threatens the lives of our frontline healthcare workers and our employees. And I know many in the industry experience these events in similar ways. And unfortunately, it's not over yet.
So Gina, how do you think you'll draw on these experiences with your leadership of HIDA in 2021?
Well, what I've learned from these experiences and the COVID-19 pandemic is that neither the government nor the private sector can deal with any crisis the magnitude of each of these on their own. A collaborative effort is essential. My first priority is to deepen our commitment to government affairs. I'll be working with the staff and the board to solidify HIDA and its members' role in policymaking. We need to bring the value of distribution message to Congress and to the administration and to all relevant agencies. Our value of distribution message needs to be heard in new ways and in new places, not just as another voice, but as thought leaders with specialized expertise and experience to contribute to sound policies.
That's awesome. Gina, how else do you see HIDA addressing these new realities for its member companies?
Well, I think now more than ever, my second focus area will be on education. The pandemic had already significantly changed the way that we work. And so we have an opportunity in front of us to rewrite the plan on how we share our knowledge, how we network with our manufacturer partners, and how we communicate with our healthcare providers and customers. The information HIDA puts out is very relevant, and I'd like to see it reach a larger number of employees within our member companies. And so just a few final thoughts. We can't always control the world around us, but what we can control is how we respond, act, and deliver. In the midst of this pandemic, with more difficult days ahead for all of us in healthcare, I can say I am so proud of this industry and how we are and will continue to respond. And while much is unknown and still yet to be discovered, what is clear is that we must emerge on the other side of this pandemic with the insights and knowledge to position the supply chain for the future. My goal, especially in a period of systemic change, is to continue to elevate HIDA's role as an organization that improves the industry, improves the supply chain, and improves the healthcare system. And I'm committed to helping drive and support these initiatives. I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to Mike Abney and the Guidel team for sponsoring this session and for your continued commitment to distribution. Thank you to my family and a big shout out to the amazing team at Concordance. I'm so proud to be part of a supply chain community that strives to positively impact lives each and every day. I wish everyone a productive and successful virtual streamlining healthcare. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina.